So Vice Chair, whenever you're ready to start the meeting.
Okay, call to order this meeting of the India Planning Commission. And now call to order. If we could please get roll call, Ms. Castillo.
Chairperson Isiano is not present. Vice Chairperson Ceja?
Here.
Commissioner Valdez? Here. Commissioner Franz is not present. Commissioner Lopez?
Present.
Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Valdez.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any public comments not on the agenda?
There are none.
Okay, great. Then let's move into our item 5.1, Chaudi Square conditional use permit and design review. Is there a staff report?
Yes, Chair, there is. And I'm just going to give a moment to get our PowerPoint loaded. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so as the chair noted, this is a public hearing for a Chaudi Square. This is a conditional use permit request and a design review request. So the general vicinity of the area that we'll be talking about this evening is at the southeast corner of Varner Road and Jefferson. And this area is currently identified on the aerial with the star. And this is the subject properties. There are 3 parcels of land that are proposed for development. So around the particular site, we have, on this chart, you'll see that we have north, south, east, and west. We have a variety of general plan zoning and existing uses. And I will let you read them, but just to note that generally we have comparable zoning and general plan designations. I also will point out that Interstate 10 is located to the immediate south of this parcel as adjacent right of way. And as you well know, Interstate 10 is controlled by Caltrans. So the project is composed of several components. It's comprised of a car wash. It's comprised of a convenience market with fuel station. And it's comprised of a 5,000 square foot building that could have 1 or multiple tenants that has also is going to include a quick service restaurant. So now I'm going to just overview quickly several of the project plans. This is the landscape plan for the site. You can see that the applicant is proposing a variety of landscaping around the site. You may note, and this is just for the record, that there is a piece of land that separates the property from Jefferson Street. That is actually right of way that is owned by the state of California. So that's why you don't see that property immediately butting up further as you go further south up against Jefferson, because that is publicly owned property, again, controlled by the state of California. Here is a bird's eye perspective as if you were flying over and you're looking at it from the context of Jefferson. As you fly over Jefferson, the property is to your immediate left, and this shows the various components of the proposed development. Here's another bird's eye perspective. This again shows it as if you were flying over from Varner Road, and you'd be looking to your right, and you see the different components of the site. Again, these are conceptuals, but they show the building designs, so typical building colors, and the landscape features. I'm going to go through a series of elevations. These are just intended to show you conceptually what the buildings will look like. And you will notice as we go through this that the architectural design is contemporary. You will notice the use of colors. And as many of the commission may remember, for the Chaudi Plaza project, You participated in helping the Shawnee group identify a more modern style with more modern colors, and they have brought that forward into this project. And so you'll see that represented here as well. Here is an example of the multi-tenant building. Excuse me, this is a convenience market. Again, just going through a variety of perspectives. Again, this is another, not necessarily a bird's eye view, but kind of giving you almost to the street perspective of the site from Varner and Jefferson intersection. Here's a perspective of the convenience market with the fuel station. And these next couple of slides represent elevation designs for the convenience market, as I mentioned earlier. This is a modern contemporary design with the flat roofs and modulating our architectural features. There is a significant use of windows and again, more of a flat roof design. This is the car wash, again, more of a modern contemporary architectural design with color variation and modulation in the architectural features. This is the quick service restaurant. And again, you're seeing color variation, modern contemporary design, significant use of windows to break up the monotony of the walls, and also modulation of materials. So as staff conducted its analysis of the project, we went through several levels of analysis. First, we looked at it from the perspective of the California Environmental Quality Act. And this project is deemed to be categorically exempt. Under the California Environmental Quality Act, there are certain types of projects that are deemed eligible for consideration to be exempt. And what that basically means is there's not substantive environmental review that is needed. This project falls within that class as an infill project. And typically when we're making findings for CEQA exemption, you will see the table there. Those are the findings that we need to make. In the staff report that was prepared for this, there is substantive analysis of that. I'm simply using the checkmark system to show you that we did analyze them and found that the project complied with those particular finding requirements. And then based on that, staff made a determination that the project qualified for CEQA exemption. So next we move to general plan and zoning. So the general plan designation is regional commercial. Again, this is the general plan 2040 that was adopted in September 2019. It provides for large format retail development along with associated restaurant and commercial services activity. Typically, you see these located near major freeway connections and around major intersections. So as I mentioned earlier, this site is located immediately north of Interstate 10 and is located at the intersection of Varner Road and Jefferson, which are considered arterial roadways in the city. The zoning district designation is currently community commercial. So in this current zoning designation, when we look at the land uses, we look at them in the context of permitted, conditional, or prohibited land uses. The proposed land uses that are being represented this evening in this application are all considered conditional land uses. They fall under Indiana Municipal Code 159.222.f, auto-related uses, including but not limited to repair garages, gasoline service stations, drive-through restaurants, or markets, or car washes. So since all of those land uses are specified as a conditional use, it requires your review and consideration this evening. The project is also required to go through what we call design review. This is a section of city code, and this requires that there be analysis of the proposed design. So again, just in a summary fashion, there's more substantive findings in the staff report presented to you previously, but these are the findings that we have to make as we analyze the project. And in summary, we found that the project complies or can comply through the application of conditions of approval in the context of any consideration for approval by the Planning Commission. And again, it's subject to conditional use permits. We have a specific section of the Indiana Municipal Code that addresses this. The Planning Commission is the decision-making body, and the staff analyzed this, again, substantively in the staff report presented to you. we determined that it complied with the required findings for the conditional use permit. And as part of that, we have identified 98 recommended conditions of approval. These are not all city conditions of approval. As you go through the staff report, you'll note that other agencies have submitted conditions and we list those. So that 98 is not just city. It can be the electrical service provider, it could be the water provider, and other service providers, in addition to city departments. It could be also building and safety and fire. So there's a variety, but those 98 conditions are intended to help mitigate impacts of the project and help address the appropriate nexus of impact to requests for actions, for example, whether it be right-of-way dedication or it be construction of certain improvements. So as you look at those conditions of approval, staff has made a determination that they're reasonable and appropriate to the proposed project and its associated impacts. So with that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2006. This would approve the, this will approve the conditional use permit and make a finding that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Staff is also recommending the Commission's approval of resolution number 2007. And this is also, this would approve conditionally the design review application, and the conditions of approval that I referenced earlier would be found substantively there, although there are some more general conditions of approval in the resolution for the conditional use permit. So with that, staff is happy to answer any questions. I also think if I could, I'd like to ask the city engineer, maybe city attorney, to come up and briefly just talk about some changes and recommended conditions of approval. You received a memo earlier from the city engineer, and if Mr. Rea could come up and briefly touch on those and make sure that if you have any questions, he is available to answer them. So thank you.
Good evening, Juan Raya, City Engineer, Vice Chairperson, and Commissioners. There are some conditions that we will formally request be deleted, just because they are already incorporated further in the resolution for design review. And there is one that we would request that we reword. For example, we want to delete conditions number 27, 28, 29, and 80. And part because those were included in a section for a parcel map. This application does not include a parcel map, so we're putting them where they belong, which is under the section that requires the improvements prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Further, two of those conditions will be moved, and the rewording of condition number 93, that from what it currently reads to read, applicants shall incorporate the pork chop design for all proposed driveways to promote the right-in and right-out turning movements only. The design shall be coordinated with to the satisfaction of the city engineer. So that is the extent of those deletions and modifications.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for staff?
Chair, if I may, this is Assistant City Attorney Zach Heinzman. While I don't have a list like City Engineer Rab, Director Schneider did call me, and I wanted to put forth one suggestion. If the commission were to consider the resolution as drafted, just to update in the recitals, the reference to the date of December 8th, 2021 is the date of the Planning Commission hearing, to change that to today's date, December 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, no questions for staff? Okay, let's open up for public hearing. Does the applicant have anything to add to the presentation?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, wonderful. Good evening, planning commissioners and staff. First and foremost, I just want to say that we appreciate your willingness to schedule an additional planning commission meeting so that this project could be heard this year. My name is Ahman Chaudi, and on behalf of the Chaudi family, I am proud to present a new development in the city of Indio. Also with me tonight, I have some of our team members here to answer any questions should you have any throughout this meeting. With a significant number of existing residential units off of Jefferson to the north of the freeway, including many more that are recently approved, this beautiful project will provide more convenient business options, and as a result, will hopefully limit the tendency of our Indio residents from traveling west to Washington Street into the city of Palm Desert. This is both the first and last freeway ramp for the city of Indio, which we think is a great opportunity to capture the commuter from just passing by the city of Indio while driving on the interstate, because it might encourage them to stop by for a quick fuel up, a quick bite to eat, and maybe a run through car wash. Like many of our projects in the city of Indio, we believe that this project will be a significant economic driver by cultivating new jobs, both direct and indirect, and also by boosting sales tax revenues generated by the city of Indio. With a capital expenditure budget approved by the city in May, a significant portion of the budget for road traffic and bridge maintenance and improvements in the city are paid with funds generated directly from gas sales tax revenues. While we don't own all the gas stations in the city, we are proud to do our part to contribute to the budget with this new development. And we really hope that our project continues to spur additional development in the nearby vacant parcels and further improve the city of festivals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comment testimony? And we do have some. So do I just go ahead and call them up? Yes. Okay. If we could please have Ms. Karen Borja.
Yes, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
I'm asking. All right. Good evening, Karen Borja. I am a Miles Avenue resident. My first comment is that our housing element has been out of compliance since October 15th of 2021. Therefore, you really have no business approving new developments, especially new developments that are going to impact vulnerable people, Latino people, poor people in the city of Indio. There is liability here in the form of an injunction stopping all construction in the city of Indio, not just this project. I will also add to my comment that 1 mile south of this parcel of land, there already exists a gas station, a restaurant, a car wash. There is no need for another gas station. 2 miles west of this parcel of land, there exist 3 gas stations, ample restaurants, ample businesses. There's already what is proposed here. To the east end of this parcel of land, there already exists another Circle K. This is the first and last bridge into the city of Indio. It is also the only bridge without congestion. Adding this particular business there will not only cause idling further, will cause air pollution, and let me see. And I personally believe that this project would indeed result in significant effects to traffic, noise, air, and water quality. There are cases in the state of California that have gone in 2016 for $140,000 settlements because of environmental racism. I believe by approving this project, you're harming the Latino poor residents of the city of Indio. If you know where this parcel of land is, there's 2 trailer parks, there's a school, there's a senior living community. You have a lot of vulnerable populations in this particular area of Indio. My last ask tonight is of the commission. I'm requesting that you ask staff to put a halt to bidding, approving, entertaining any future gas stations in the city of Indio. We are okay with the added gas station you added at Fred Waring, just less than a mile away from another gas station. We are okay with the 8 different gas stations along Miles Avenue. We really don't need any more of the same. What we do need is art, parks, schools, all sorts of better developments for our community that don't literally have to be a mile away from what it already exists that is a copy paste. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vanessa Becerra.
Right. Hi, good evening, everyone. Commission. Yeah, I'm I'm also here to ask for the commission's support in opposing this development for, honestly, just to simply put it, we need more developments that suck up more CO2 and pollutions than they produce. We also need more developments that give back to our community and provide livable wages and benefits that the community members don't have within the city and the community that they live in, right? There's a lot of fast food restaurants, a lot of folks that I know who have worked for the Chandian Corporation that haven't had a really good experience. And I don't want to see more of our community go through that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. John Becerra.
Hello, good evening, commissioner members, people at home. I'm just gonna echo the sentiment. I'm an organizer here in the city of Indio. I'm also a resident off Miles Street. I've been here for over 25 years. My family's been here for generations, and even just in my canvassing in the last 4 years, this is a specific issue that the residents do not like. They don't want more gas stations. They don't want more car washes. They don't want more fast food. They want options. One of the biggest complaints that I get now is when people come off Jefferson coming down south, the first thing you see is fast food. The first thing you see is gas stations and nothing else. You know, the community deserves more than this. We deserve better paying jobs and quick serve restaurants can give us. And, you know, it's incumbent upon this body to kind of look out for that, you know, before this gets to the next step of council. And so I really am encouraged to ask you to oppose or at least table this development. We have a lot of more pressing issues. People in their late 20s and 30s are being forced to move back in with their parents again. We have a real housing crisis here, and to see that this is a priority, that this copy and paste kind of solution to, no one's asking for this. You know, no one's really asking for this other than the people probably making money for it. And I question, you know, getting this out of an environmental review when we're talking about multiple cars being idle, when we're talking about the proximity of how close they are to residents, to schools, to add this to the on top of multiple gas stations we've approved recently. You know, I think it's incumbent upon us to really analyze and study how all those invisible pollutants are going to affect the people around us. And then quite frankly, for the future, I think a lot of people are paying attention to what this body does. And I think they're paying attention to how their representatives are being loyal to the community or whether they're not, because it's just not reasonable to ask for another gas station in such a short proximity to where everything else is, to offer the same low wage jobs without the benefits to the same members of the community. I think we're asking for more, and I don't think it's hard to do that. I think even the same organization could propose something better, propose a higher class of restaurant or higher form of business and development here, but we're not seeing that. So I'm asking you to please oppose or at least table this until future evaluation can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant wish to make any further statements or a rebuttal before we close the public hearing?
And Chair, if I may, Ms. Castillo, were there any online requests to speak or anyone raising their hand on the Zoom meeting?
There's nobody online. There were public comments that were received. They were distributed to the commission and posted on the website.
To give the opportunity to the applicant to respond, if you would like.
Yeah, we don't have any additional comments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Sure.
So, yes.
Sorry, right here, Kevin. If I could just provide a couple of just quick comments.
Please.
I just want to clarify two things. One, I just want to make sure that what the city attorney said was clear, that the resolutions that are in front of the commission do reference December 8th. If whatever action the commission takes, we will correct the reference from December 8th to December 14th. That's in the recitals and also at the signature page. So we will correct those. I just wanted to also correct the record on something that the first speaker stated. So the city of Indio is working on its update of its housing element, as the commission is well aware. We had a deadline of October 15th, as the speaker spoke about. However, because we had a compliant and certified fifth element housing element, fifth cycle housing element, excuse me, we automatically qualify for a 90-day extension. So HUD has confirmed that, and we are in our 90-day extension. So the city must take action no later than February 12th of 2022 in order to not be out of compliance. So that is the deadline that we are working on. You held a public hearing on December 8th and made a recommendation to City Council that will be going to City Council on January 5th. Depending on council action, we may be ahead of that February 12th, but I just want to make it clear that we understand the obligation and we have received that automatic 90-day extension, and we are working under that as our many cities, honestly, because of the short timeline we had after the delay in getting our regional housing need assessment numbers. We didn't get those until the end of October 2020. So we really have had less than a year to plan. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear for the record.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and I believe now we go into deliberation if there are any comments from the commission. This testing, yeah, this works.
Mine's working.
We can pick you up.
You can hear me?
Sure, if we can take a 2-minute recess just to resolve our technical issue. Thank you.
Sure, let's take a 2-minute recess.
I don't need mine. Right now, I don't need. Can I just bust into?
Testing.
Oh, okay.
Sure, we're ready when you are.
Great. Do we just, we're back on?
Yes, we just needed that short recess. We've gotten a mobile mic to the chair, the commissioner, to allow her to ask her questions. We
Yes,
apologize.
I have a couple questions for you, and they're kind of technical, so I don't know if you can help me answer, kind of get a better understanding. Can you pull up the map where the proposed project is located?
And as soon as we need to have the PowerPoint presentation. Okay.
Sorry, quick question. Zach, do we need to open up the public hearing again, or is that not necessary?
You're in your deliberative stage right now, but as part of the deliberation, you are allowed to ask questions of staff. If you want to ask questions or have the applicant speak or any previous speakers, you would need to reopen the public hearing.
Yeah, my questions are.
Yeah, this Assistant City Attorney Zach Heinzman, just confirming what Director Schneider said. Staff's able to answer questions now.
Can I go ahead and ask? Or wait, first waiting for the map, right?
We're good. So you tell me where you want me to stop.
So the part, yes. Can you zoom in a little bit where it's located? I don't know if you can do that.
Not able to zoom, although.
Okay, well, let me see if I can. So how many constituents live at Sun City Shadow Hills? Do you have about kind of an idea?
So there are approximately 5,000 homes in Sunset total in Sun City Shadow Hills. That is located to the northeast and east of this particular site.
So like maybe 7,000 to 9,000 constituents, give or take?
On average, we have roughly about 2.3 households per 2.3 persons per household.
Okay.
That's a gross number. So if you take that, there's somewhere in the range of say maybe 8 to 10,000. I should note for the record, not all those residents are here year round. It is a retirement community, and so you may have variations in that population throughout the year.
Okay. And in the trailer, I'm sorry, it's an RV park, which is north of the Star, correct?
So there is a the RV park is it's a resort RV park. It is operated as a private enterprise. It is made available to RVers who are either coming in for a short period of time or a longer period of time.
Okay. So give or take, we have about maybe 12,000, 15,000 people living in this part of the district, correct?
Maybe a little bit higher. I would say maybe more around 10,000-ish. But the point is that we do have a mature community to the northeast and to the east. We do have a RV park resort to the immediate north, and we do have smaller mobile home communities to the northwest of the site, as well as there is a smaller mobile home community to the immediate west of, not immediate, but to the west of the site. It would be on the west of the California Highway Patrol Administration building.
Got it. The gas station to the west, is that considered the city of Indio, or is that the unincorporated portion of Riverside County?
That is unincorporated Riverside County. It is an area. So basically, if you're familiar with the new Kia dealership is being built on Varner Road,
Yes.
there is some vacant land that is part of that site. That's phase 2. You actually the commission saw that about 8 months ago. And once you get past that, it becomes unincorporated Riverside County.
So the farthest west of which is, are we looking at Monroe? Is there a gas station located on Monroe? On the new north side, not the old north side?
You are talking about east so heading east?
So all of this, I call it the new north side, you're up here.
Yes.
So all the newer part of North Indio, which is this area here on
Right.
the opposite side of the freeway,
Right.
is there a gas station located on Monroe on the new north side of Indio?
Yes. Monroe and Avenue 42 area, there is a gas
Okay,
station.
there is a gas station. How many
Yes.
gas stations do we have there?
One.
One. Okay.
Yes.
And that's one gas station. How many constituents do you think that will reside in that entire community there?
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, as the commission's, well, I can't put a number on it, but there's been significant population growth in that part of North Indio. That is certainly where we're seeing the majority of our population growth recently. We have a total of 93,000 residents in our city. And I would say, without putting a specific number, I would say somewhere perhaps we're looking at around 50%-ish are in North Indio, the new North Indio, not the,
Thank you.
yes, yeah, sorry. I know that there used to be other areas called North Indio, so I'll say the new North Indio.
Yeah, there's a North Indio, there's an original North Indio, and the new sites, we call it New North Indio. On the Jackson Bridge, on the newer part, we have 2 gas stations or 1.
We have a Chevron that is inside the Indio Town Center on north of Jackson, the Interstate 10 on Jackson. And then we have an Arco that is immediately at the northeast intersection of Avenue 42 and Jackson.
Okay, so from Jackson Street to where we border Coachella, or actually it's Golf Center Drive, right?
That is correct.
On that side. How many constituents do you think we have on that whole north side of India with give or take 4 gas stations?
I would say we have a large percent of our population up there. So I can't give you a specific number, Commissioner. I apologize, but we have a large percentage of our population that does live in the new North Indio. And so if the point is do we have the number of gas stations for that population? There is no technical industry standard that I'm aware of, although the applicant may know of one. But we do not have a large number of current gasoline stations and/or convenience markets in that area. If you look at a large number of them are in the more areas south of Interstate 10 in our city, particularly along Highway 11, for example.
Okay. And I think my last question is, going back to Sun City Shadow Hills, would you consider that a disadvantaged community under our state of California standards?
No, I would not.
How about the RV park across the street?
The RV resort?
The resort, yes.
Yes, so the resort, we know that I don't know the numbers, but we do know that there are higher end RVs that do take up partial residence there throughout the year.
But would you consider that, is that considered under
No, it would not.
a disadvantaged community?
No, it would not be.
Okay. No further questions.
Commissioner Valdez, any questions or comments? No, right now. I do have a quick question, Mr. Schneider. On the report, it said this particular development would only use up about 17% of that entire lot. Is there anything that we get as a city, sort of a commitment as to what types of, what the rest of the development will look like? And the reason I ask is because it said something like there's a pavement. So the rest of the site could be paved or with landscape. And so I'm just curious if there is like anything that is set forth for the applicant to define whether it's just going to be, all pavement for that larger lot or if it's going to be landscape.
If I'm understanding, I'll repeat the question and see if I got it. If I'm answering correctly, please let me know. So the applicant's proposing an area that is under the direct control for development. So the development that you are considering tonight is what would be developed, inclusive of the buildings, the paved areas, and the landscaping. There is area to the west of this project site that is not under the applicant's control, and what may develop there, there is no way for me to tell you or the rest of the commissioners at that time what may develop. If we receive a development application that would be subject to future review by the Planning Commission, we would have to evaluate it similar to this application against the relevant codes and standards in effect. But if you are asking, is the application in front of you the development scenario for this particular project site, the answer is yes. And if the applicant wanted to expand it at some point and was able to gain control over that future property to the west, because again, they can't really expand to the south. They can't expand to the southeast because that's owned by the state of California. Then any expansion of the project site would come back to this commission for future review if that was to happen.
Thank you. That does answer my question. I was just wanting to make sure who owned and yeah, thank you. Any other questions for staff or anything to add for deliberations? I have a few comments, but
I did want to ask as far as, because there is a high school and a middle school right down the street. Now, do we know what the traffic is like on a daily basis with the traffic coming in and from the school, from both schools?
I'm going to ask the city engineer to respond. He may have more relevant information than I do.
And there's also a resident, not a resident, community right down the street from there, Talavera, that has over 700 homes too. So that's a lot of traffic coming in and out of that. That would be passing that area too. So we're curious, if we know the numbers as far as like on a daily basis, how many cars run through that area?
Off the top of my head, I don't have the exact number, but
Okay.
there is a significant traffic. But the interchange, the way it's been reconfigured and upgraded, it can accommodate the traffic. We're currently looking at the segment between Sun City, Shadow Hills up to Avenue 38
Mhm.
to consider widening to enhance the capacity to take on the Talavera and any school traffic.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's it. Thank you.
so just before you leave, so the impact, the traffic report, is it indicating that with this type of development, it would have a substantial impact on traffic in this area? Do we know that?
The project itself, no.
Okay, thank you.
Would something like this on Monroe have another, if we were to put something, we have one on Monroe, never mind. I was like, but we, that, because we don't have the infrastructure on Monroe or on Jackson Street, that would cause further congestion, correct?
The existing condition of Monroe and Jackson without the interchange to the ultimate could create some capacity issues. Correct.
And Chair, if I could just point out something for the record, a traffic study was mentioned. I just want to know, and it's documented in the staff report, that a traffic study was prepared under the direction of the city's traffic engineer and the city engineer. It was reviewed and evaluated by the city's traffic engineer and the city engineer. So I just wanted to note that for the record.
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, if there's no other comments and for our deliberation, I do have a few comments that I would like to add as we're thinking about our decision. I reached out earlier today to Director Schneider. I wanted to see what types of development and how that's impacting our city, because I know that a lot of this is really about bringing revenue to the city. This is these types of projects are seen as such and are given priority. But I also wanted to explore other potential opportunities for development in our area. When the Shondi Plaza, or the square, I know that there's similar names, came up to us the last time, I really wasn't sold on the idea of providing a conditional permit for a gas station for that one. And you know, I share a lot of the sentiments of the public when we're talking about what is needed within this community. So I started looking at some of the numbers that our team, our staff provided for us. And it looks like there's an incline in drugstores, the revenue that we receive, food stores, general merchandise, eating and dining, which is a personal favorite of mine. Seems like those types of developments are certainly on the rise of providing the city with good revenue in the form of taxes. I also started seeing that our numbers have drastically increased from 2018 for family apparel shops, casual dining, specialty stores, leisure, entertainment. So it leads me to believe that there is an opportunity for us as a city to diversify the types of developments that we have, to explore development that is going to be more amenities, more accessibility, and more resources for our current community, and that you know, while I was exploring and looking at this item, like I said, you know, and I said this before here publicly, that the state of California is looking to go full EV, right, in the not so future distant. And so we're thinking that gas stations, according to the plans that we have in the state, are going in a certain direction that is contrary to what we are continuously approving here within this body. The many gas stations that we've approved seem to be in contradiction to the direction that we're going as a state to try to be more you know, energy friendly or renewable energy friendly. And so as I was thinking about this, it made me think that, you know, what happens in 30, 40 years when we don't need gas stations as readily as we do maybe currently now? What happens to the city, and who picks up sort of the remnants of a world that used to be? And so it just made me think, you know, how am I being sort of a good commissioner to the future commissioners, and how can we, you know, sort of plan for the future? I spoke to several residents who actually reached out to me about this particular development, and you know, they were saying there's an EV charging station over by Winco, but that thing is always backed up. More and more people are getting electric, and gas is becoming not what it used to be. It's not just in high demand. Excuse me. The other thing, that I also thought about as I was exploring this is, we scare off developers by not moving forward with something like this. I saw our communications person, Brooke, was on KESQ a couple of weeks ago talking about Indio being the top 50, ranked number 18 out of 50 cities in the US as a booming town. It means that our population is growing. It means our businesses are growing. It means housing is increasing. We have the most new business permits in the entire Coachella Valley, 6,000 active business licenses in this community. So I think there is opportunity here to extend an invitation to these small businesses, to these residents, and to bring in development that is reflective of community needs, community desires, and not necessarily what we are being proposed. And so I just wanted to share with you all, I wish that the rest of our commissioners, just an observation, it seems like we're always saying yes to things. I would like for us to, from time to time, be able to step back and say, is this really what we need? Is this really what the community wants? And is this going to be a problem for us 20 or 30 years down the line? Those are my comments for us to consider.
Sure.
Okay.
Could I make-
Yes,
sorry. No, my
please,
apologies.
please.
Can I just make a quick statement? So I just want to assure the commission and members of the audience and the public that the points that the Vice Chairperson has raised is something that the city is actively working on in terms of trying to attract a more diversified base of businesses in our city. It's something we work on every day. A lot of those decisions are not driven by this city or any cities because businesses make location decision based on a variety of factors. In fact, we just got back, several of us went to a conference in Las Vegas to represent the city and to encourage and invite businesses to come see our city, all a diverse type of businesses. And we spoke with several parties and we are on their radar, but the factors for deciding come down to the particular requirements and expectations. And so I just want to assure the commission, again, that this is something we do take very seriously, a diversified business base, diversified economy, more employment opportunities for our residents. These are all things that under the direction of our city manager and our city council, we are working on, but it is a long race with lots of hills and valleys that we have to go. So I just want to assure the commission though, that this is something we do take very seriously because we see that Indio needs, wants, and deserves those diversified businesses. But it's one thing to talk about it, but the other thing to work in the world of the decision-making that those businesses do, as well as locally based businesses. We talk with locally based businesses all the time, and they have factors as well in terms of where they choose to site or whether they choose to site. So I just wanted to share that with you.
No, I truly do appreciate that. And I want to say and commend the staff. I think you're all doing a wonderful job. And my comment is not on the staff. The comment is on our commission. I think this is about the things that we are approving. I think that projects come your way. And, we appreciate the way that you all try to diversify and create these opportunities for us. And I commend the wonderful work that you're all doing. I think ultimately, it is our responsibility as commissioners to stay in touch with the community. We're not expecting Mr. Schneider to be getting comments from our community, from asking, what are your thoughts on this development? And this is something that I'm doing. This is something that I've tasked myself to say, 93,000 plus residents in our community, and 5 people get the opportunity to make these decisions. Do we vote in favor of what 93,000 people want, or are we voting on ways that we think the city should be run? This is my comment. This is not, and I want to just clarify, Mr. Schneider, this is not in any way an observation of the staff. I think staff's doing a great job. I think this is an opportunity for us to vote and reflect those 93,000 other constituents that don't have the opportunity and the privilege that we do to sit up here and make decisions for the city. So with that, If there are no more comments, do we make a motion? Do we have a motion?
So Chair, if I could procedurally, you have two resolutions in front of the commission this evening. So if you're going to take any sort of action, I would recommend that you consider them separately.
Okay.
As the Assistant City Attorney has noted, we will make some minor corrections to date references in the resolution, but that doesn't need to be called out, but it is something that we will do just to note it on the record. So resolution 2006 pertains to your conditional use permit consideration. Resolution number 2007 pertains to the design review. That particular resolution is where the changes that the city engineer had asked for your consideration of those, that's where those would take effect. And when you get to that particular resolution, if you are going to consider those, the city attorney and myself can help the commission in terms of developing the appropriate language to identify those suggested modifications to conditions.
Thank you.
I do have a question for staff about.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, has any other developers come forward with any ideas to develop anything in that specific area? Because that area has been vacant for a very long time.
So we have several projects that, so for example, east of this site is called Jefferson Street Plaza. It is an approved project master plan that has been approved. It was approved in 2005, I believe, by the city. And a project master plan is basically a master plan. It doesn't expire. It can be modified, but it doesn't expire. And on that particular site, there is identified a potential grocery store along with other retail buildings. To the east of that is a project called Las Montañas. That is a project that was initially conceived of with a large commercial component and residential. More recently, we have been talking to them. They are likely to come back to the commission at some point and council for a review of potential modifications that would look at modifying that previous approval and the proposed land uses. So in this particular area, those are the two most prominent. And then obviously you know of some of the proposals for the auto row that are gonna, the one is being proposed right now is Unicar's certified superstore, and then along obviously the Kia. So that is, in terms of immediate awareness, that is the current projects. Obviously we get phone calls and emails and ideas thrown at us all the time for this area of the city, but those are the most immediate.
And the shopping center would be across the street from the proposed gas station area.
You're talking Jefferson Street Plaza?
Yes.
It is immediately across on the other side of Varner from this project site. Correct.
Okay, but no applicants have, no one's placed an application for that specific, those 3 parcels there. No one's presented any project ideas or?
No, Commissioner. We have talked to folks. We've gotten some inquiries over the years, but no party has come forward with an application, and it has not come before this commission for review and consideration.
Okay, and I just do want to address a comment by one of the community about the housing. I know that the housing is something that we've all been working on really hard, and we know that it's needed. And so I just want to let you guys know that it's something that we are working on. You know, we wish that things would move along a little faster, but there's a protocol that we need to take to get those things moving. But it is definitely something that we've been concentrating on and putting a lot of thought and energy into. So we just want to let you guys know that we are working on all kinds of housing. Our city, you know, we cater to people from all ages and all income levels. So we're just trying to figure out which direction to go to make sure that we, you know, serve all of everyone. You know, we have seniors, we have the middle class, we have, you know, different housing possibilities that, you know, we can bring forward. So just to let you know that we are working on that, just that it does take a little bit of time. And, you know, we want to make sure that we do address the appropriate housing for our city and for our residents. So just to let you know that we are working on it. And I know that for this specific area, it's right off the freeway. So I don't know if this would be ideal for housing. I think it would be ideal for some kind of commercial business. And I wouldn't say that I wouldn't want to purchase a home right off the freeway. I don't want the fumes and I don't want the traffic noise and the traffic period. There's a lot of traffic that goes through there every day for the people who, the people who are trying to get home that live at Sun City, the people that are trying to get home that live in Talavera, people commuting and they're picking and dropping off their kids, both for the high school and the middle school and the older neighborhoods in that area too. So I think that this area would be good for a commercial type business, but also kind of making sure that it's a good quality business, offering good quality service and someone that is gonna make sure that they're taking good care of their employees, because that is gonna make a reflection on our community. How those employees are treating the people who are coming in is gonna make an impact on the community. And that comes from the owner. So making sure that we have a good quality business that comes into that area, because the energy that business creates is going to radiate throughout the community. That's all I want to say on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then just for clarifications, the zoning in this area is for commercial, right? It's not housing, or that's not a use that we've intended for this particular area.
You are correct, Vice Chairperson. Right now, the property is zoned for community commercial, which is intended to offer a diverse range of commercial or retail-oriented uses. The general plan designation is also regional commercial, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, and that is also commercially oriented. So this area, this particular property is been identified and the surrounding area primarily for commercial oriented uses.
And just, I guess, one more last clarifying question. If it didn't include a gas station, if it didn't include a car wash and a drive-through, we wouldn't be seeing this and need a conditional permit?
So it always depends on the land uses being proposed. If there were land uses that were permitted outright, you would not be processing or considering a conditional use permit request. You would, however, be doing a design review consideration, which you've done in the past when it's just a design review that's come before you. But because the land uses are identified as conditional land uses, that necessitates the conditional use permit hearing.
Okay, thank you for that clarifying.
And Kevin, do we know what kind of gas station they're proposing to put in here? If it's going to be like another AM/PM, if it's a Circle K, a Shell, a Chevron, like what?
I do not have an answer to that. I'm assuming the applicant will go through, they represent various brands and they'll go through a branding decision as to the appropriate brand for this particular location, but I don't know the answer to that. And if you wanted to have that answer, then the chair could reopen the public hearing for a limited basis to get an answer to that question.
Do we want that?
Sure.
Okay, let's open up the public hearing and give the applicant the opportunity to tell us what type of gas station they're proposing. I believe you're muted.
So we are still contemplating and we haven't decided on a gas station brand yet.
Thank you.
Chair, it's up to you. It's up to you if you would like to accept any additional public comment beyond the applicants, but you do need to keep the public hearing open to do that, or you do need to close the public hearing, either one.
Okay, well, since we have the public hearing open and we gave the applicant the opportunity to speak again, we'll go ahead and let.
Okay. Hello, Karen Borja again from Indio. Just as a reminder to the Commissioner Lopez's comments, right? There is a gas station a mile away on the other side of where this parcel land is, where you're being asked to consider this land. Literally, you just drive across the freeway on the street that you are already on, because the city has done a good job redoing that bridge on Jefferson where you can like easily cross, right? Like there is sidewalks, bike lanes, multiple lanes. You're already on your car. You're coming in from Talavera, Shadow Hills High School. You can keep driving across the bridge to the other Arco. That's it. Thank you.
And Vice Chairperson, before it's your discretion if you want to give the applicant the opportunity to provide any additional response to the public comment, or you can close the public hearing.
Can we ask the applicant a couple of more questions since we have it open? Are we allowed to?
Oh,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
okay.
So, Shandi Group, I did have a question as far as if we decide to approve this project, do we know about how many jobs this will be creating for the community? And yeah, how many jobs this will be creating?
It could be 20 to 25.
Could be more if it's a
Could
Is
be
that
more.
for just a gas
If the-
station or is that for the
That's-
restaurant or?
No, usually the restaurant will create a 30 to 35 job, and the gas station and car wash between 20 to 25.
And I'm not sure we're allowed to ask about pay rate, like what pay rate these jobs will be providing?
The commission can ask questions. The applicant's not obligated to answer.
Okay, so on these jobs, like, what would you say the pay rate would be for someone working in a gas station or someone working in the market or the restaurant?
Or whatever market dictate, actually.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said whatever market dictate.
I think if this would help Mr. Shawnee, because I think we're having a little bit of hearing, difficulty hearing. I think he's whatever the market will pay, is I think what he said. Is that
That's correct.
Shawnee?
Whatever the market will pay?
No, dictated at the time. It's also, it's industry standard or better than the industry standard sometime.
It can be below industry standard, is that what you said?
No, he
Decline
said-
to answer that.
No, sorry, he did not say below the industry standard. He said at the industry standard or could be better than.
And when you're hiring for construction, do you hire local or do you hire out of town? When you're building these
Both.
units?
They both, whatever who worked at the time needed as.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what he's saying.
I'm sorry. That's too bad.
So it's whatever who worked at the time, because, when the job is under construction, we try to give the opportunity as a local, most we could. But it's depending on, like this time as a crisis going on. It's hard to find the people. So it's whatever the time is under construction, definitely, our preference always give it to the local community, work on it. But if it's not available, yes, definitely we hire from out of town too.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think that's it. Oh, a question to Kevin. Do we get a say on what kind of gas station would go in if we did approve something like this? Like if it would be like an AM/PM or a Circle K or any of those? Do we get a say in any of that?
The city does not have the legal authority to identify the brand. That is the applicant, the owner's decision, not the city. We don't have any legal authority to do so.
Okay. Would they be able to tell us what they have in mind? What brand they have in mind?
I think they just answered that they're still
They're still
considering. Yeah, I think
Considering?
that my understanding of what the response is, they haven't selected their particular brand yet, but will do so at some point in the future.
So they go and they decide to open an AM/PM and we have like no say on whether or not we want another AM/PM there?
In terms of the brand consideration, the commission does not have the ability to make a decision as to the type of brand going in there. Your particular decision-making authority is limited to the conditional use permit request and the design review, and the branding of the business is not within the commission's purview.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for answering our questions, Mr. Shandi.
You're welcome.
This time, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. I just want to make one last comment before we move on. I want to say thank you to all the community that came out. We want the community to be involved in all of the decision-making that happens in the city. We received quite a few comments and we had people show up. So I just want to say thank you. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm in these meetings and we don't always get community participation. So I just want to say thank you to the community for coming out and letting us know exactly what type of development you would like to see. So being that there is no more discussion, we can entertain a motion.
I'd just like to make a few comments, if I may, Vice Chair.
Sure.
So again, just kind of looking at the project, and we're again voting on the conditional use permit. A lot of things to consider here, right? And then the northern part of Indio, we have, give or take, 35,000 constituents that live on that north side of the freeway. We do have a gas station on the other side of the freeway, right? Off of Jefferson and Indio Boulevard. Actually, we have two. But kind of doing an analysis and looking at where some of these, so we have total right now of 3 to 4 gas stations in Indio. We have another one farther down, which is located on Washington, but it's not in the city of Indio. It's in the unincorporated area of Riverside County. Had this been considered like a disadvantaged community, as Ms. Borja had pointed out about being a majority of Latinos that live there, I, for one, like yourself, very active grew up here. I have 5 generations of my family that lived here. So I'm active. I talked to several constituents that live in the Shadow Hills area, Talavera, the Golf Center Drive. I mean, I do connect with my constituents, especially when it comes to a decision like this. And I just feel like there's a demand for these types of services. And so I totally agree with your comments, right, about agreeing to explore and to but I also think we need to we're passing our housing element for one, but to also empower staff to with resources to go and attract these types of development. Like, honestly, I would really love to hear from you what would go better, what would be best to have a gas station or a restaurant. But at this time, like talking to constituents, the 3 gas stations in that community, and especially there's a lot of seniors that need those services. So I am in agree to, and I will make a motion.
Actually, I'd like to make a comment to what you were just saying before we move to the motion. I'm talking about the constituents that woke up today and said, this is important enough for me to make a public comment. This is not about the constituents that you and I spoke to offline.
No, I'm not talking about that.
This is about community turning out and saying, this is important enough for me to take my Tuesday afternoon and tell the commission how I would like for them to vote. We know we do not get this type of participation, and we know that we want community to be directly involved. Now, if you don't want to vote the way that the community is asking you to vote, that's totally fine. I just want to acknowledge that the community is turning out, is asking us to vote a certain way. And if we're not in agreeing with what community decides to come out, that's totally fine. I'm sure there's a lot of constituents that would like to see this type of development, but they're not here. They didn't send comments, and they didn't come to this meeting today. I'm talking about the constituents that said, this is so important that I need to say it directly to the council. That's my response. And I would love to be able to talk about all the many different types of developments that I would like to see rather than a gas station.
To discuss that, I know to talk about the folks that were coming out today, but the comment you made earlier about being connected to the community. And so that's what I was addressing, not this comment. So I apologize if I offended you on that. However, again, I want to go ahead and continue to make a motion to pass resolution number 2006, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, California, approving conditional use permit 21-07-1069 to allow the use of a convenience store, fuel station, and drive-through restaurant and car wash. Tandy Plaza within the Community Commercial CC zoning district, subject to the finding conditions of approval therein and determining that the project is categorically exempt from the requirements of the California Act, CEQA, Section 15332 in infill development projects.
And Commissioner, if I may, just to clarify that your motion would include the recommendations set forth for the revisions to the conditions of approval in the memorandum referenced during the discussion tonight and circulated on December 14th from City Engineer Borja with the proposed revisions to certain conditions of approval.
City Attorney, not to interrupt you, but that's actually, those conditions are contained in resolution number 2007.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I miscalculated my numbers there. Thank you, Director Schneider.
No, so you have a motion on the
Oh, we
floor.
need to
You need
second.
to have a second in
Gotcha.
order for any sort of voting action.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Can I say something before I make a motion or say,
You technically, by Robert's Rules of Orders, there's a motion on the floor, so it either has to be seconded or it dies.
I'll second.
At this time, the chairperson is allowed to allow the commissioners to make any final comments before you vote. So if you'd like to offer Commissioner Valdez the opportunity to make her comments, as well as Commissioner Lopez, that's your discretion, Chair. Sure.
That area is in need of a convenience store, of a fast food place, and a gas station. Just, I don't want to see an AM PM there, and I know we don't get to say what we want to see there or not. But I drive through there. I've been driving through there since 2008, and whenever we need to put gas, or whenever we want to go and grab a bite to eat, or we have to run to the store to grab, a convenience store, it's a little way out for the people who live in that area. And I know there's a gas station right across the street, but when you're in the morning on a time crunch, trying to take kids to school, trying to get to work, that location there is going to make a difference on your day, because it's convenient for the people who live in that area. That area is growing. There's been new construction that has been built right down the street from there. Talavera is getting ready to add some, new construction 2022. There's Paradiso, who added some additional new construction there. Lennar just added new construction there. Domani just added some additional residents to that area. So that specific area is an area that does need a convenience store, that needs somewhere, to go grab a bite to eat and a place to go and put gas. Now, I'm hoping that this will bring other projects to that location, that this will, bring us, that market finally, will come to life, because I know you mentioned it was approved since 2005, but there hasn't been anyone else that has presented any projects or anything for that specific location. And I think that if we were to put, I would rather see a gas station there than see, it's not a good location for homes, but I just feel that area, that specific area there, is in need of something like this. Like I said, I hope it's not an AM PM. And I hope it's a little, a higher tier gas station, a higher tier convenience store, and a higher tier drive-through or restaurant, because that area would support a higher tier gas station. So I hope that the applicant does take that into consideration when deciding on what vendors are going to put in that place if this project moves forward. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lopez, any comments before you vote? I'd like to make a comment. I think we take what we're given. I think if the community really did want something like this, they would have turned out today. If there are those constituents, if there are those people that are saying, please give us more gas stations, we would have seen that response. I'm saying the response that we got from the community was no more gas stations, give us services, amenities. I'm not opposed to a project in this area. In fact, I would like to see sit-down restaurants, outdoor restaurants. I would love to see yogurt places, coffee shops, small businesses, thriving opportunities for small businesses in the community. The community turned out and said, no gas station. And there was no, I didn't hear any comments of saying, yes, we need this, and this is what we want. So as we decide to vote, I just want to say, do we vote with the community, or do we vote just based on our individual, assessment of what this community needs. So that's it.
Are we voting or what's?
There is a motion and a second on the table, so a roll call vote would be appropriate on those items.
Vice Chairperson Rodriguez Seja,
No.
Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
motion passes 2-1.
Great. So it looks like that was our only item in the agenda. And so now we,
And, Just
move on.
for clarification,
The
Assistant,
resolution.
Oh, I'm
resolution
sorry.
number-
Yes, there's a
So-
second resolution.
I'll go ahead and adopt the resolution 2007. Let me pull out my notes, my cheat sheet here. Approving design review, deleting conditions number 27, 28, and 80. Conditional number 25, 26 shall be under a prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy. And condition number 93 shall read applicant shall incorporate the pork chop design and for all proposed driveways to promote the right in and right out turning movements only. The design shall be coordinated to the satisfaction of the city engineer. Does that suffice? Or do I keep reading?
and just for clarity, that would be for resolution number 2007, which would be the application for design review with the revisions to the conditions of approval that you mentioned, Commissioner. And that would be for the, and I think just for sake of clarity, just want to confirm that that's the motion that you're making.
Yes, sir.
So again, similar to the second, previous resolution, there would be a need for a second before any sort of voting action could take place.
I'll second.
Vice Chairperson Rodriguez Seja,
No.
Commissioner Valdez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
motion passes 2-1.
I think that's it on items. Being that there are no action items, no
Sure.
item. Yes,
I
sorry.
apologize for interrupting you.
No,
again,
no, not
but
at all.
Just
I'm
for the
learning.
record, we do need to go through the rest of the agenda, even if there's no other business.
Oh, gotcha.
We do have items 6 through 9. We just need to go through those quickly and we can adjourn out following that, but just for the record.
Okay, so again, because this is my first time doing this, do I just say, are there any action items? Perfect. Are there any action items?
There are none.
Do we have any items for study session?
There are none.
Okay, commissioner items.
This is the opportunity for the commission to share with each other and with the public any items of note or interest relative to your serving position.
Okay. All right, so our next planning commission meeting is January 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And we call to adjourn, or do we need a vote?
You do not need a motion to adjourn. You can go ahead and adjourn. And quickly, on behalf of staff, we'd like to
please.
say happy holidays and thank you for your service in this calendar year. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year and lots of good stuff to come. But thank you. And again, happy holidays.
Thank you for all your hard work.